Wife cheated, so I tricked her into publicly admitting to having the affair and herpes. Okay, so I'm the colleague that pushed him to post this, but your account needs to be 7 days old to post here, so I gave him an alt I created for a joke about a month ago. This is a 12-year-old tale. I told one of my colleagues about it yesterday, and he suggested I post it on Reddit. Today, he encouraged me again, and here we are, having drinks before the 4-day weekend, and my writing is finished. So this is my first time here, and I'd want to say hello to everyone. Please accept my apologies for any errors. At the conclusion, I met the lady I believed was my one and only in college. We dated for approximately 2 years and had a big wedding after a 10-month engagement. Her family was well off in a tiny southern town. We were both furthering our educations, and I was working to support us both. I was working on a master's degree in engineering while she finished her PhD in anthropology. Over the summer, she was given the chance to earn some additional money by working as an assistant on a religious studies trip to Jamaica. I didn't hesitate when she asked me about it. After all, she was going to be paid to visit Jamaica, so I saw no negative other than missing her being at home for 6 weeks. I had no idea at the time, but she had been the professor. He had hung out with us, smoked my hash, and drunk my beer, so I considered him a buddy who had booked the trip for a few months, and it was a getaway for them to bang all over the island. I went about the weeks while she was gone, not even cheerful, doing additional hours so I could equal what she earned in our account and surprise her. What a jerk, right? One of the kids from the trip sought me out to inform me. I didn't trust him until I went on my own proof hunt. I finally gave up and checked her messages when she was asleep, but nothing was there. There were a couple VM, so I decided to listen, and there it was, a message from that gigantic jerk telling me how great it was that I nearly caught them. I unlocked her laptop and went through her emails, which were nothing but garbage, making fun of me for not knowing, in our bed and laughing about it. There was a lot, and I was sad. I felt helpless because I was still too wounded to act. I had no clue what to do, so I sat on it for a few weeks and tried to behave normally. I noticed everything now, and I felt so foolish for not seeing it before. There are so many indicators. One in particular stood out. Despite the fact that we weren't having, I noticed that our supply of homemade cannabis lube, which I heartily recommend if you haven't tried it yet, was running out quickly. It was obvious that they were also taking use of the benefits of my efforts in order to get away more swiftly as well. This upset me to no end. Irrational, and not in a good manner, is the whole. At the end of the day, everything came crashing down on me. This group of idiots saw me as a joke, and they were in my bed with the lube I was producing. I didn't want to hurt them anymore. All I wanted was to cause them discomfort. So, while she was studying at the library, I went ahead and made a new batch of lubricant. Then, after refilling the spray container we used for application with enough marijuana to make it smell natural, I added some poison ivy from our garden to it and waited. After a few days of working extra hours so that I may spend more time away from home, the bait is grabbed. It is that night, after she has gone to bed, that my plan comes into action. In the process of stealing her phone and erasing my contacts, I replace his phone number with mine and his contact list. I go to bed, but I can't sleep because I feel like I'm 5 years old, and it's the day before Christmas. She is in the shower when the sun comes up in the sky. I've received a text message. I'm itching. How are you doing today? Now, Lord, it's my time to speak. Look, I thought everything was back to normal, but it appears that I had a flare-up. I'm sorry, but I'm infected with herpes, and I'm sure you're infected too. I was in the shower when I heard this screech from this B*TCH. Because I'm covering my mouth, I'm on the verge of vomiting. In the next conversation, I informed her that it was time to call it quits since a new semester was about to begin, and I was having feelings for another T/AI wanted her to be sad since she had never been told no as a youngster, and hence had never had to deal with rejection before now. To say nothing of that coming from a balding 50-year-old guy with herpes. Her tears were clearly visible as she emerged from the shower, but I could also see the wrath in her eyes as she walked out the door. I could tell she was uncomfortable since she was wiggling about at the table, drinking her coffee and thinking about the situation. She just needed a little prodding to get going. After writing pages and pages of fury and sadness, she received the following response. Thanks for the good times, but could you please keep this a secret between us? I don't want to ruin my chances with anyone else. She's flushed with rage now, just seething. She gathered her keys and walked out the door without even saying goodbye. I could see where she was going. I was right behind her. Before accompanying her to college, I powered up her laptop and set it to reformat, destroying her dissertation and any notes she had made while working on the project. He was screaming at him in his office when I arrived, so I rushed over there. He had given her herpes, and she was yelling at him. There are a large number of individuals in attendance. I'm going to die, professors, assistants, students, and other members of the faculty. My friend is crying in front of her peers, and he's ashamed and bewildered as. Meanwhile, I'm in a state of bliss. I couldn't care less if other people suspected I was infected with herpes. The ramifications of this were terrible in their department. The university's code of conduct caused him to be fired, and we divorced the following year. State law required us to be separated for a full year before a divorce was granted, with the bulk of our assets being divided between my sister and myself, primarily savings and not a ton, but I worked for it. His PhD was never finished, and he went on to become a chronically pregnant housewife who sells Herbalife on Facebook, while she continued to work as a housewife. Even though it took years for everything to come together, seeing it all come together was a breathtaking experience. Edit. Several of you have asked for the recipe for the treats, so here it is. Follow the instructions for usage, otherwise it's a waste of money, and this is completely aimed at the females. We're talking about gigantic OS here. Make use of polyurethane condoms. It degrades latex. Weed lubricant. 1 gram CO2 extracted live resin or 1/4 ounce flour, preferred, MCT coconut oil 4 ounces, 2 16-ounce mason jars, 3 coffee filters, only if flour is used, 2 drops tea tree oil. It makes a huge impact. 30 poison ivy leaves, small spray bottles, think perfume. Heat the oils, wax, or flour in mason. Jar for 80 minutes at 240 degrees, then turn off the oven and let it cool for approximately an hour. Fill the spray bottles after straining through coffee filters if you used flowers into the second mason jar. Here are the directions and explanation that my current great wife provided for a buddy who wants to give it a try. At first, you may feel the heat rising. To the touch, everything seems more intense. The time elapsed between application and playtime is an enthralling enigma. As time passes, the butterflies in the pit of your stomach get more active, and you become more aware of yourself as your senses and sensitivities rise. Walking has become an element of foreplay, causing more friction and heat to build up. As your partner starts to stroke your neck and shoulders, a warm sensation spreads up your body, bringing shivers down your spine. Until foreplay is completed, each touch gets more ecstatic than the last. Then feel total ecstasy in your partner's arms. Total number of sprays. 8-10 use 2-3 at a time on your fingertips. Spray on your fingers and massage around the labia down toward your entrance, moving the oil inward into your G-spot. Spray on a tampon, insert it, and go to relieve cramps. Tampons are not required. Obtain 5 ml in a syringe, enter, spray, and hold hips raised for 1-2 minutes. With your spouse, apply the spray to your spouse's fingers, softly spreading it over the labia and pressing some inside your cookie. Consider it like painting. The greater the covering, the better the result. Apply to your G-spot, which is approximately 2 inches in on the front wall of your vagina. Also, apply to your O-spot, which is immediately across from the G-spot on the rear wall of your vagina. It shouldn't take more than 3-5 minutes to apply, and then you shouldn't touch it for at least 20 minutes. Use this opportunity to explore other parts of your magnificent gift. If you're too inebriated to utilize it, you'll just squander it. Poison ivy is optional, but not suggested for self-application.